Welcome back. Well, today's news is a lottery ticket. You know, it's one of those cards you scratch it off with your quarter, and that's what you win. Is what's on the. That's not a good thumbnail to win. That is it. Child abuse among Jehovah's Witnesses worse than the Catholic Church. That's the headlines, folks. It's amazing. When I was in it back in the 80s, 90s, we thought we had the most righteous and cleanest organization on earth. You haven't heard of any of this stuff, and it was all about the Catholic Church, and we were all pointing our fingers at them. Is this karma? Is this you reap what you sow, JW.org? Well, let's take a look at the headlines. I can't change what the news says, but I can show you what it says. This comes from the Child Abuse Among Jehovah's Witnesses press conference last July. And child abuse among Jehovah's Witnesses worse than in the Catholic Church. There's the headlines. So we'll just take a quick look at this press conference. This is the Australian activist Laura Caput and the activist Stephen Unthank from saysorry.org. So they were there, and they were at the press conference. They presented the data. They showed that the alleged number of victims within Jehovah's Witnesses is, relatively speaking, many times higher than within the Catholic Church. That's what this says, based on the institutions examined and based on the number of victims in Australia, and an estimate of the number of victims in Germany, Austria, Switzerland is given. And these guys talk about how they became activists. This site's been going on for 15 years or so. And after the Australian Commission, that's when they really got this all going. And they built this site to help a lot of the victims. And JZ Help has arranged that. And there's all kinds of stuff on the site here that provides interesting information that can help many of the victims, ex-Jehovah's Witness victims. This is for ex-Jehovah's Witness victims. So now, I thought this was interesting. Watchtower Victims Remembrance Week from July 24th to the 30th. And it's something that I wasn't aware of. But this is an international day, Remembrance Day. And it's a Remembrance Day for all of those within the Watchtower, ones that have died because of the blood doctrine, ones that have died in prison, ones that are ostracized, disfellowshipped, shunned. This is for you guys, for us. And there's some that have taken their own lives. This is a remembrance of all the many thousands of people that die every year within this organization due to its horrible blood policy. So this is interesting, folks. They have a help thing, a campaign about life paths here. And you can go on there. These are all the victims. You can highlight any of these and you can look at their stories. So it's a really well done site. And we're going to move on here. Now, one of the things I want to point out here is Jehovah's shame. Now, this is off this Say Sorry, and this is an article they put out, National Apology to Victims and Survivors. So they were talking about how the government apologized, but yet Jehovah's shame. No, the governing body is not going to apologize. The national apology delivered by the leaders of the Australian Parliament followed individual apologies made to child abuse victims by religious leaders and other institutions throughout Australia. So, like Boy Scouts and stuff like that, where they've had issues, this is all packaged in there. And all the apologies that went out. And with apologies, there's culpability, right? So notably, silent were the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, who have continued to maintain their silence since publicly branding in 2015 all allegations of child abuse within the Jehovah's institutions is an apostate-driven lie. And you remember Stephen Lett got up and gave that broadcast. He talked about it. It's right here in the article. Jehovah's Witness leader says that. And it's interesting that that was said, a couple of days later or a week later after they were served the case study 29 in Australia. They delivered that statement within weeks. So sadly, both the corporate and religious leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses continue to publicly deny the existence of a single act of child sex abuse within the religion. They have a problem saying, we're sorry. Why? Well, it could cost them $3 billion like it's costing the Catholics. Because with sorry, there's culpability, there's responsibility. So what did Jehovah's Witnesses say about sorry? Well, let's take a look at it here. When I was in it, I thought everyone apologized. I thought we were taught to apologize. There's so many Watch Charlie Awake articles about apology, saying I'm sorry. And even today, when you look in there, there's a ton of stuff on apologizing. So let's just take a look at one. This here talk by Ralph Walls, Seek Peace and Pursue It by Apologizing. We're going to take a quick look at that.
I am so sorry. It's my fault. Please forgive me. No matter how we phrase it, it can be difficult to apologize. Why is that so challenging? There are many reasons. We may fear confrontation, blame, or rejection. Perhaps we feel embarrassed and we're too proud to apologize. We may reason, apologizing will not undo the blunder I've already made. And it may even be that we are angry. This is such a matter of concern that in July 2000, the California State Legislature in the United States passed a bill designed to relieve people of liability if they express sympathy to an individual who was injured in an accident in which they themselves were involved. It was noted that people often hesitate to extend an apology out of concern that it could be construed in court as an admission of guilt. The Bible provides an account of a faithful servant.
Isn't that something? So he goes on to give a Bible example of Paul and apologies. So the Bible's full of it. J.W. Org knows that apologies are necessary. Even the speaker here, Waltz, is telling the audience that they need to apologize. And some people don't apologize. He even admits it due to court reasons, going to court. If you're guilty, you have to pay out. So Jehovah's Witnesses do teach their people to apologize. But what about the governing body themselves? How do they feel about apologizing? Okay, so we have a clip here from the annual meeting of this last year, 2023. And this is Jeffrey Winder. And here's what he's saying about apologies. And this is after they're delivering a whole pile of talk saying we've changed this. You can now have beards. You don't have to count time. People at Sodom and Gomorrah are now going to get resurrected. All kinds of changes this year. So here's what they say. We don't have to apologize. But yet the rank and file has to apologize. Double standards. Or this is a clear message to all those payouts. We're not going to apologize. We're going to dig our feet in, and we're going to go to court right to the end. Double standard.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible. And so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction. Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously. We understand this is how Jehovah operates. He reveals matters gradually when it is needed.
So that seems to be where the governing body sits, nor is an apology necessary. I don't think they plan on apologizing. I think the payouts are so huge it could sink the company. That's what I think. Well, folks, until next time, we'll keep apologizing, just like they tell the rank and file to apologize. It's necessary. We'll do the right thing, and we'll keep living our lives with love. We'll see you next time. Bye for now. For watching. We appreciate your comments, your dislikes, and your likes. If you would like to support the channel, just press join and buy us a coffee once a month. Until next time, keep dancing, smiling, laughing, and most of all, keep loving those around you. And have a great day.
Produced by Fixing My Faith.